What is up, people of Earth? This is a 4-star map. I'm Tyler. Let's get freaking into it. So today we're going to talk about some theories of how mass media affects our social behavior and COVID-19 and how the media has covered it. So first, we're going to start off with social learning theory. So this is the idea that we learn how to be social with other people in the social world, how we act, our behaviors. We learn how to do that through the media that we consume. And so for this to work, there's 4 things that have to be present. There has to be attention. So you have to be paying attention to the media, which we all do all the time, social media on our phones 24/7. So we witness the behavior that we reenact. So retention, we have to retain the memory for later retrieval when we're in those social situations. Motor reproduction, the subject must be able to physically imitate the behavior. And motivation, there must be a social reward or reinforcement for encouraging the model of behavior. So this sort of thing we see with the social behavior of wearing masks. There's a social reward because you're seen as following the rules, helping people not get sick, and just being a good person. I think at this point in time, people see wearing masks as it's part of the new social contract of COVID-19 in this new world order that we have, where wearing a mask is just being courteous. It's like giving a smile, only you don't give a smile anymore because you're wearing a mask. So anyway, you see that behavior on the media, you see it on the news, you remember it, you have the social reward to do it, and you have the ability to put on that mask. So that's what we do. Now, agenda setting. What is agenda setting? Agenda setting is the idea that when the mass media focuses their attention on particular events or issues, they determine, that is, set the agenda for the major topics of discussion for individuals and society. So essentially, mass media tells us what to think and what to think about. And this is a great example. We live in this new bubble world where the only thing that we're concerned about is COVID-19, or another way that you could look at it is that it's like a weird kaleidoscope world where it's like we're looking at everything through the lens of COVID-19. How does COVID-19 have an impact on sports? What we're going to do today? We're going to the gym. We're going to the grocery store. The economy, current events. Everything is looked at through the lens of COVID-19. And I think a big part of that is because of this agenda setting theory. The media not only tells us what to think about, which is COVID-19. There's 24/7 coverage of pretty much only this, and even if it is of another news story, like I said, it's through that kaleidoscopic lens of COVID-19. And even when they're not telling us what to think about, or maybe on top of telling us what to think about, they tell us how to think about it. And this is a pretty on the nose example from the famous magazine, The New Yorker, where it says how to think about the risks of Omicron. The new variant changes the calculus in ways that can seem bewildering. There's always these sorts of words that are meant to be to strike fear in your mind. It's bewildering. And then there's always ways that they talk about it to make it seem like you're not going to understand it. It's changing the calculus. It's bewildering, There's always this air of superiority. But we have the tools to think it through, the New Yorker, whoever's writing this, and so in that way, the media takes this superior posture where it's like, we have the facts, we have the logic, we have the information, and we have the tools. So we're going to tell you how to think about it, because even though every individual now has the tool to do their own research and come to their own conclusions. There's a financial stake in the New Yorker doesn't want to go out of business. And what's sensational? What's going to get people? What's clickbait? Okay, right. So here we are. The media takes this posture of superiority, even though each one of us as individual as individuals, have the tools to do our own research, to come to our conclusions, to think for ourselves. Each one of these media outlets has a financial stake in not letting that happen because they want to stay in business. They want to sell magazines. They want to sell newspapers. They want to get clicks. They want to get likes. They want to get views, all of this stuff. And fear sells. And especially when you're telling people, you don't know, but we know, that's going to get a lot of people, it's going to put the mindset into a lot of people of, oh shoot, maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't have the ability to think for myself. Maybe I don't have all the tools at my disposal to do research on my own. So they're going to go to these outlets because they think that they know more than they do, or that they have the ability to know more than they do. Okay, so moving on. What is cultivation effect? Cultivation effect suggests that heavy viewing of television leads individuals to perceive the world in ways that are consistent with television portrayals. This can lead to the idea of mean world syndrome, in which viewers with heavy long-term exposure to television violence are more likely to believe that the external world is a mean and dangerous place. So, again, this heavy consumption of media leading us to perceive the world in a way that's consistent with how it's portrayed on television. And so all of these factors play into our real world attitudes and how we behave socially. You have what you consume from media, you have your direct experiences, personal communication with other people. And it's wild because I had an idea in another video where, if you go, I use the gym as a good example. You go to the gym now, in gyms that you have to wear a mask on or else they'll kick you out. Everyone has their headphones in and you have a mask on, and you're taking away two of your primary senses, which is, or maybe not senses, but ability to, those are the two main things to communicate, your ears and your mouth. And I don't think people will socialize as much with the mask on. So you take out that direct experience and personal communication that you have. And if you take those out, all that you have left are what you see on television. And that's what people have to use if you don't have the personal communication and direct experiences to model the real world and how to act in the real world. So it ends up with people just seeing what's on TV and then thinking that's everything, and that's the real world, because those direct experiences and personal communication have been taken away. And I think that's what the quarantine periods did and the lockdown did, and then the deprival of like social tools of communication with the masks over the mouth, and then we wear earbuds, AirPods type stuff all the time, and nobody talks to each other in person anymore. So, spiral of silence theory as well links mass media, social psychology, and the formation of public opinion. This theory proposes that those who believe that their views on controversial issues are in the minority and will keep their views to themselves, that is, become silent for fear of social isolation because that social reward isn't there, which diminishes or even silences alternative perspectives. So what's on the screen now is a photo capture of a Wall Street Journal article, and it says, it's a picture of two people walking outside a shopping mall with masks on, and then there's a sign next to them that says, you have to maintain 6 feet physical distance from everybody, don't socialize, wear a mask, and all that stuff. And beneath the photo, there's a caption that says, about 11% of American voters say they rarely or never wear a face mask. And so that's, if you read that, and you agree with that, you're being told immediately that you're in the minority of people that believe this. And so in this spiral of silence theory, and who knows if this is intentional or not, but regardless, if you're being told that you're in the minority, you're less likely to speak out. And if you're being told that you're the majority in something, then you're a lot more likely to be loud about it. And I think people are being told for sure that if you follow the rules, like you're part of the majority and the right side. All right, next, third person effect theory suggests that people believe others are more affected by media messages than they are themselves. In other words, it proposes the idea that we, in quotes, can escape the worst effects of media while still worrying about people who are younger, less educated, more impressionable, or otherwise less capable of guarding against media silence. So essentially it's the idea that you're affected by media, I'm not affected by media, but we're all affected by media. What's on the screen now, you have the top two photos are concerning the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, and people were so divided on this, mostly because of misinformation or a lack of information. On the left, you have a tweet saying that Kyle Rittenhouse was a 17-year-old white supremacist, domestic terrorist, crossing state lines. He killed 2 people, all this stuff. It says, fix your damn headlines, saying that the news is false. And so this person is obviously consuming a very different media than this tweet on the right, where this person is saying, I want him as my president. Obviously, these people are living in 2 different worlds. And is it because they're in 2 different social circles in real life, or is it because they're in 2 different echo chambers being affected by the media that they consume? I don't know. And then the bottom left and the bottom right pictures, everyone consumes popular culture and media, superhero movies, Star Wars movies. Like, we're all affected by media. You can't really escape it, especially at this point where we're all media, and media is in the palm of our hands at all times. And so lastly, we get to the idea of an idea pariah. And there's many idea pariahs in our society, in every society. These idea pariahs can be united as having or sharing ideas which someone may not want distributed freely to the public. So some examples that I can think of, especially more recently, I did the video on mass formation psychosis. You have Dr. Robert Malone, which came out on the Joe Rogan show and various other podcasts, putting forth the mass formation psychosis theory. And not only that, but many safety and security concerns about the vaccines. He was immediately railed as spreading misinformation and being a liar and all this stuff, just because he had ideas that go against the primary narrative that is being pushed by legacy media. You also have Jordan Peterson, look him up, Brett Weinstein. Both of these guys were professors. Brett Weinstein was a professor in evolutionary biology. Jordan Peterson was a professor of psychology. They both have podcasts on Spotify. I recommend looking them up. You have journalist Matt Taibbi, which I'm pretty sure worked for the New York Times. And then you also have Barry Weiss, who worked for the New York Times, who were both kind of canceled and then have come out recently on Substack as very popular independent journalists. And you have a number of comedians and celebrities that have been canceled for saying things that go against the norm. You have Kanye West, which is a very well-known idea pariah. Anytime he comes out and speaks his mind on anything, it's the wrong idea. It's the idea that goes against the status quo. And I'm not saying that we have to agree with all these people, but it's obvious that their ideas go against a particular narrative, which is the primary narrative or the accepted narrative. And then finally, we have legacy media, which is owned by very few number of people, very few number of corporations. If you haven't seen videos of all of these local news networks having the same scripts, you should look that up on YouTube. Just search scripted local news or scripted local corporate news, and you'll see that all of these local news shows from across the country, all these different places across the country, they all use the same scripts because they're all being pushed out by very few corporate owners. And now you have new media, and I gave two of my favorite examples, one of my brother's favorite example. You got Logan Paul and his podcast, and obviously he's very independent, and you have Joe Rogan, and you have Lex Friedman. All of these people they can be affiliated with other companies and other interests, even corporate interests possibly, but they're a lot more independent, and their ability to share free ideas and have whoever they want on their podcasts and communicate freely is a lot more, they have the ability to communicate more freely than the legacy media does. All right, and that does it for this episode. This was a 4th Star Map. I'm Tyler. Go back through and look up some stuff that I mentioned in the video. I highly recommend it. And God bless. Have a great day. Boom. 2022, baby.